All right, welcome. Today's date is December 30th. I wanted to cover a unique topic. I know we covered a lot of varying topics in the past, and this is part of my little series I'm covering as far as my real estate field manual. So um, today I wanted to cover the perception and professionalism needed in this business. Um, a lot of people you you people judge a book by its cover. So if you don't represent yourself accordingly, people will not want to do business with you, or they will underhand your position when you're talking to, I mean, this is anybody, sellers, lenders, agents. I mean, people that you're gonna title companies. Like everybody has their perception of you and who you are and what they think of you. And no matter how much you may not like it, but as soon as they see you, there's an inherent perception of you, and your thoughts and ability before a word even comes out of your mouth. So um, today I wanted to cover just covering the basics of to make good impressions with people to build better relationships. So name, image, and likeness. Your name is important. How you use your name, if you speak with authority, how you perceive yourself online. I think we are heading in a digital age where a lot of people will verify or look up what your business entity is, what you look like, what some people find us on YouTube and they want to work with us just because they want to sell their property to us because we're on YouTube and we are online. So how you present yourself everywhere can be very intentional, but it can lead to a lot of doors opening in your path just because you present yourself a certain way. Um, and it's just being professional. Answering your replying to texts, replying to emails, how you reply to texts and emails, when you reply to texts and emails, holidays, New Year's, birthdays. One thing I've always tried to do is like, even if it's not me doing it, I try to remember birthdays. I made it a point when I started collecting people's information online for products and services and different things. I collect people's birthdays. And it's not that I'm going to remember their birthday personally, and I can and will for some people, but um, you can set reminders using automation to say happy birthday to people, anniversaries. I mean, you can make anything a point to become a better, to kind of cut through the noise of your relationship or current relationship you have with people. And it's simple things to, it's simple things go a long way. So I will cover a few of these and we'll kind of jump down this little presentation I got for you guys. But um, birthdays. So I've started doing stuff online 4 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years now, honestly. One of the things I started early on is collecting people's information. Your list is very important, whether it's your buyer's list, your agent list, your network. Your list is very, very important. So number one, you need to collect it. Name, email, phone numbers for everybody. If you start networking agents, you go to meetup events, you need to start collecting people's information because you don't know when or how you're going to use it or when the opportunity arises. Something I do on my phone is I try and put where I meet people, where in their contact, especially if we exchange phone numbers, is I try and exchange and I put some type of where I met them. It was a meetup, it was a dinner, it was XYZ event. You try and remember, say, hey, if you ever need to talk to that person, hey, I met you at so and so last year, last June, last May, last January. I heard, and I always try and put something about them that maybe I conversed about them. It could be what they did in the past, what they're currently doing, what um, they're planning on doing. I sometimes put wholesaler, sometimes put lender, sometimes I put um, flipper, flipper, wholesaler, lender, hard money, private. You kind of put people in different categories, and then you can kind of build your Rolodex. And I've been doing this for a very long time, very, very long time. And I have people that, and I have my memory is spaced out sometimes where I'll forget people's names, but I might remember a certain thing, a conversation I had with them, and if I put that in the contact, I can easily search that and find out who that person was, and I can, oh yeah, that's what that person looks like. Some people take selfies with people and put it in their phone as a contact so they remember a face. Some people follow them on social media. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the main thing is you want to build a relationship, and a relationship starts with conversation. If you're not going out there talking to people, you're not going to build any relationship. So number one is uh, be open to have conversations, find a way to recognize and record them in some way, same way, shape, or fashion to remember them, and then have a conversation around that. I mean, relationships are built off of. I was born in Chicago, so one things I do a lot of podcasting. And one of the questions I always ask, the first question I usually ask in a lot of my episodes was, where are you from? And the reason why I ask that is because it opens up the conversation of I grew up in Chicago, so it was very cold and snowy. Um, I think even Robert was talking about San Diego weather when he was here early. But essentially, people are talking about you can talk about the weather. It's very easy to strike up a conversation. If they grew up in the cold, oh, you know how it feels like. If they grew up in the warm, oh, you ever visit Chicago in the winter? Like it's very easy to strike up a conversation with strangers without um, forcing the conversation. And sometimes there's awkward silences or dead air, and this is a good way to build rapport, even with your sellers or buyers or whatever. You got to strike conversations and kind of form a conversation when you're speaking to people. Um, so there's different tricks. Birthdays. Let me just go back to my birthday. So when I started clicking through forms and such for people buying products from me or software or whatever, I always ask birthdays, and I made it very intentional for my team to ask for birthdays. It wasn't required, but I just asked for it. It doesn't hurt to ask. And the reason why CRMs are important is because you can put systems in place to either remind you to reach out to that person on their birthday, or you can set up a whole automation message to reach out to people on their birthday. I hop in the CRM every once in a while, and there's birthday texts going out left and right, like once a week, twice a week, and I'll just see it and like, oh, that's cool. Like it's just something I did automated, and it just works. I don't know if they'll ever buy from me again, or if they're a current customer or a previous customer. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just I know I'm building that relationship on autopilot, and I don't necessarily need or want anything. I just want them to know. Um, Duke's trying to get me. So there's something that I do early on, and Duke's trying to get me right now. Is especially early on in a conversation where I'm trying to build a relationship, I'll ask them randomly what their birthday is. Just kind of strike up, hey, what's your birthday? And Duke just asked me what my birthday was. So my birthday is May 22nd, 1982. That's my birthday. And the reason why I make note of that is I'll make note of it somewhere. I'll put it in the contact of the phone. I'll put it in the CRM. I'll put it somewhere. And then if it's a person of interest that I want to build a relationship with, I'll put it in my calendar. Like I'll physically put it in my calendar, and my calendar shows me what my meetings are for the next day. Um, it's usually booked out a week in advance. So I look at my calendar a lot. Guess what? Let me see whose birthday's coming next that I have in my phone. So I have who's my next birthday? There was a lot of birthdays in December. Let me just go back because I know there's a bunch in December. There was a previous sales rep that was on my team. Her birthday was the 25th on Christmas. Another one was the 24th. Um, I had another one. Uh, there's a lot. I have to go through it. And I tag it a certain way in my calendar where I can see it, where if it's coming up or if it's the day of, I already know and I'll text them. Um, I do this with my lenders. Um, Not necessarily every single one of them, but sometimes I'll get their birthday and I'll just text them. Anniversaries are important. Different days are more important than others depending on what their relationship is, or I mean, just your relationship. It could be one thing I struggle with is like even personally is my nephews and nieces. I struggle with their birthdays because they're not my kids. So guess what? They're in my calendar. And it's just to remind me because they are important in my life that now that my oldest nephew has a phone, he just turned 17. I text him on his birthday because he's important to me. So there's subtle things to build good relationships with your friends and family and business relationships. And it could be very subtle or it could be very direct. Some people you might, if it's family or whatever, or a really good business acquaintance, you might buy them a bottle of wine and you make a note a week before their birthday to, hey, let me go buy a bottle of wine and drop it off at their house. Like you can set reminders to build better relationships in your life, and it's doing something subtle but intentional. And being intentional is what builds good relationships. Um, it could be gift cards, it could be whatever, birthday cards. Um, those my I used to be in a corporate job. Um, the job would send me a postcard every year on my birthday. And like I didn't care personally, but I was like, hey, they're being intentional. They put some type of effort into remembering my birthday as an employer. Those things go a long way for a lot of different people. Um, So that's your how you speak to people, your website domain. I'm very on purpose. There's a lot of people that use at Gmails and at Yahoo's. Go buy a $12 domain and get a real email address to your email address. It's very important when you're communicating and doing business with others. One thing I did online is I always use a professional email address, especially when I'm doing like outbound email. I have like 9 email addresses, so I do break this rule sometimes. But you don't just have to start there. You can get there eventually. My whole thing is that you get there, and these are just small tips and tricks to become and seem more professional when you're doing business. Um, a email address with your website. I created myself a personal branding site, uh, DanielEstebanMartinez.com. It shows what I do and how I do it. People can search me, Google me, I come up. And I've done a lot of podcasts for that reason as well. People can Google me and I come up. So I'm very intentional on my outward um, professionalism and my perception of myself online. And it took me years to build that up. So it's something that New Year's coming up. Hey, I'm going to do better. These are things I can implement now. This is the direction I want to go. People always talk about like, um, I used to be a truck driver, but I wanted to be a land investor. Guess what? Now I'm a land investor. So at some point, I had to change my position and perception from a truck driver to a land investor. And no one really knows when it was. I know when it was, but no one else outwardly looking in knows when it was. And that's okay. But if you say you're a land investor tomorrow, guess what? You're a land investor tomorrow, even though you might be a cashier today, or you might be a uh, you might do construction or whatever. You might be an Uber driver. It doesn't matter what you are today, it's what you are tomorrow that matters. Okay. And you have to kind of put that perception of what you want to be out in the world, and you will become that. Um, blah, 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 blah. Shaking hands, looking people in the eye, having conversations. Sometimes it's having hard conversations. Sometimes they're having easy conversations. It's just having conversations. A lot of people, we get in we get hidden behind technology where I prefer to text, but sometimes when the opportunity arises, you have to have that in-person conversation, Zoom conversation, turn your camera on. You have to be professional about it and have an open conversation with the people around you. I rarely do Zoom meetings where my camera isn't on. I don't care who's in the meeting. I want people to perceive me as professional, and I want people to see me in my face, even though we may not be face to face. I want them to see me in my face. Now, I will be honest. I am not always wearing a button up. I'm not always wearing pants. Like right now, I'm wearing basketball shorts, but I'm wearing a collared shirt. I put on the collared shirt before I turn on the meeting. I was not wearing a collared shirt all day. Like there's certain standards I put on myself even when I do trainings that I show up a certain way. I did not comb my hair. It's still the way I left it this morning. Um, brushed my teeth this morning. I did not put on pants this morning. Still don't have pants on. But that's that's the point where what people see is what matters. I'm comfortable right now. I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable in this conversation. I'm very comfortable right now. So there's things you can control and things you can't control, and it's how you outwardly push that is how people perceive you. Um, Visual representation. One thing I did recently, I think I did. I went through my Facebook, and if you've been online for a long time, um, I'm sure I'm talking to somebody. If you've been online for a long time, you were a dumb teenager at one point online. At least I grew up on Facebook, and I had a Facebook account when I was like 15. So I had to go back and go through all of my old social media photos and delete some stuff. It is what it is. You have to go back, especially since Facebook's been around for 20 years. If you've been on Facebook for a long time, you have to go back and delete some stuff, so you don't have the wrong perception. Because anybody can go back and find stuff that you may not be proud of. Um, that one photo you made a silly face on with wearing a Santa Claus outfit. I don't know. There's random things that and that is not my story. Robert's looking like there's a Santa Claus outfit where Daniel's making a funny face. No. It's somewhere out there, you know? So sometimes you might have to remove things from the past. And you hear this a lot from celebrities where they're like, oh, I found this old tweet from 10 years ago where he said something off the wall. Um, you have to find that stuff, especially if you're planning to go places. You might have to go back and figure out what that was and delete it. I give people grace because I think as you get older, you mature, your position on things changes. Um, you just get older and wiser. So the person I was 5 years from now isn't the person I am now. The person I am yesterday, I think I changed since yesterday. So um, I don't judge people on their past or what happened in the past, but there's things you may have to clean up to get the right perception and professionalism across when you are doing business. Um, Dressing appropriately, acting appropriately, communicating clearly, concise, and professional. A lot of people are afraid of making eye contact. Eye contact shows confidence. When you're in person, one thing I do to stand out, especially when I'm doing networking, is I usually wear my cowboy hat. So I usually wear a cowboy hat and cowboy boots just because if you've been to a meetup, I'm sure everybody here has, when you go to a meetup, everybody looks just like everybody else. And that's okay, but do you want to stand out is the question. So usually what I'll do, and this you don't have to do this, this is something that I've been doing for a while, is I'll wear my cowboy hat, cowboy boots, and I'll wear some type of Western shirt, and I'll just walk out like that. When I strike up conversations, people are like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "What do you think I do?" Land in Texas. That's exactly what I do. And it opens up a conversation without even talking to people. And people know what you do without striking up conversation. So how you dress in certain iterations and how you perceive yourself online. Um, and it's not like I wear a cowboy hat every day. I haven't worn my cowboy hat in a long time. But if I go to a meetup, I might wear my cowboy hat. So, uh, and that's just I want people to know. So, what we do in the land space, there's not very many people that do it. So, I want there's wholesalers out there that get a ton of land opportunities on accident just because they're marketing and they don't know what to do with them. So, I want them to think of me if they find a land opportunity and they don't know what to do with it because they're a house guy or they're a storage guy or they're a multifamily guy or they're an industrial guy. I want them to, hey, who's that guy from the cowboy hat from that meetup? And then they can ask the organizer, hey, who's the guy with the cowboy? Oh, that's Daniel. Oh, look him up. Daniel Martinez on Facebook. Go message him. Boom. Made a connection. It was memorable, and I didn't do anything but wear a cowboy hat for 2 hours and look like an idiot, but I made an impression. All right. Um, Marvin says he needs a cowboy hat and good personal branding as a land investor too. Where it's in next trading. Yeah. So there's a term I heard a few years back, but it says you are not a secret agent. Everybody wants to be 007 and be inconspicuous, but the problem with being a secret agent is no one knows what you do or how you do it or who you are, and no one cares to. So if you find a way to differentiate yourself in public settings, people know who you are and what you are, who you are and what you're about. So that's the main thing. Um, how others perceive you often dictates opportunities that are presented to you because you were uh, remembered. Everybody gets forgotten eventually. We're only here on this earth for so long, and everybody gets forgotten eventually. So how you're remembered and how you impact the world is on you. It's on you 10 years ago, it's on you today, and it's on you tomorrow of how people perceive you in the future. Um, Good evening, Carla. It's on you. So the decision to be remembered and how you're remembered, it's on you to build that legacy. Um, I didn't mean to come here, but I'll mention my father. My father passed away 3 years ago, and he wasn't very outward going. He wasn't very um, he wasn't on social media. He wasn't any of those things, but he was around for a long time and built great relationships with a lot of people. Where my father wouldn't talk to very many people at all throughout the years. That wasn't family, direct family, or anything like that. And he, at his funeral, over 100 people showed up, and it was to the person of who he was to those people that mattered that they showed up at his funeral. So if you and not necessarily like you want to make an impression or um, anything like that. It's just that uh, you can make a difference just by choosing one that you're going to make a difference, and two how you're going to go about to make a difference. Um, a lot of what I do is to not necessarily solidify my place in the world as the best land investor. It's more of it's my way to make impact to the small amount of people that I get to impact because everybody has their own impact circle throughout their life at different points of their life. I could die tomorrow and I know I've made an impact in some way, shape, or form in my 30 years of life on this world. So I'm very intentional of what I do and how I do it. Like even now, I recorded this call. You might think I recorded this call to upload it where you guys can watch it tomorrow. For people that came in late and missed the call can watch it. No, I recorded the call because my kids are in the next room not hearing this conversation. And if I died tomorrow, they can listen to it 10 years from now. That's why I recorded this call. So I'm very intentional of why I do things, even though separating myself and there may not be some type of purpose behind it. I am creating a digital footprint of today out there forever because the internet is forever. Um, so how you create and mold that future is on you today, tomorrow, and yesterday. So you can do that in different ways and how people want to remember you because everybody's not here forever. So it's up to you to kind of solidify and um, create that future. Um, I had an interesting call today with one of my lenders, and he had me talk to his son, and he wanted me to. He didn't tell me this, but he wanted me to impact his son because um, everybody, if you were a teenager, I mean, everybody was a teenager at once. You always feel like your parents are wrong, especially when you're a teenager. Like, I'm gonna figure this out. Hell or high water, I'm gonna figure this out. And I've spoken to this lender a lot of times about his son, and I hope, I don't know, maybe he'll hear this. I don't know. I don't think he'll ever hear this podcast, but he's always talked about how his son is in his early 20s, but he has no direction. And I always tell young people, we have a lot of young people here in general, that it's okay to have a set direction, but just to go down that path, and the direction creates itself in front of you. Um, your path and your decisions you make every day is what leads you to where you want to be. Um, I was talking to um, somebody earlier, right after that call, and I was telling him, I'm like, I don't regret every decision I've made to get here, because the things I've learned and the lessons I've learned that got me here, I know is what will take me to where I want to be. And good or bad, and the hard lessons I may have learned is what made me who I am today. Um, and I don't regret any of it at all. No matter what I lost or what I gained, I don't regret every bit, because it led me here, where I am today. And I'm okay with my decisions. And some people, you take more, some people might take it more personal, if you don't get to where you want to be when you want to get there. So like, some people, like, it's a mindset thing. Sometimes some people beat themselves up because they've been an entrepreneur for 1 year and they didn't make $1 million. Like, wow. Some people do it, but not everybody does it. And then it could be 5 years. In 5 years, I want to make $1 million. And then, like, you're at year five and you made 100 grand. You're like, dang, this sucks. You know? And it's different for everybody. Everybody has different paths, and it's okay. It's okay to not know it. It's okay to um, fail. It's okay to not know all the right answers today. The main thing is, uh, you have a general direction, and you're going to get there eventually. And I'm not going to quit tomorrow. I'm not going to quit a year from now. And that's where the fortitude and mental toughness comes from, that is needed to be in this business, because this business isn't easy. It's never been easy, and it won't become easy. It may become easier as you get more wisdom and experience, but this business isn't easy. And it takes a lot of mental toughness, overcoming problems to get to where you want to be. Um, so that's my 2 cents on that. Dun, 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 dun. Control your digital footprint. Talk about that. Audit your online presence. Align social media with your professional brand. Uh, Develop a consistent image. There's a guy I learned this from. He wears a blue suit. He's one of those guys. He wanted to wear a blue suit, so everywhere he goes, he wears a blue suit. No matter where type of event he's going to, he wears a blue suit. So you can get consistent um, images to your brand if you wear the certain same thing at certain locations wherever you're going. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the cowboy hat. It just has to be a certain thing you wear. I don't know. It could be a bolo tie. I don't know. Network strategically. I see this a lot. Is you go to an event, and there's like 500 people at the event, and you're like, who do I talk to? Who's the person I'm supposed to meet? And I think the trick to this is you kind of be biased. I went to like a money raising event back in July or August of this year, and there was like 1,000 people there, and I'm just like, I cannot talk to everybody, but I can talk to 10 to 20 people and have good conversations. So I kind of scoped out the room, and I made a point like, hey, I need to talk to that person, that person, that person, that person. And you kind of do your best to make your rounds and meet those people that you think are important. But it comes down to based off their perception and their professionalism of their image. And that was who I chose to speak with when I was there. So it all comes full circle, whether you represent yourself a certain way or other people represent themselves a certain way. You have to uh, take control over that and pride over that and make sure you're outwardly doing the best you can. Engage with purpose. Um, this is a big one. I try, I went to an event probably about 2 weeks ago, a meetup, and this lady stopped me. And this is a struggle for me, engaging with purpose. She was talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and I'm like, I need to walk away. I need to walk away. This is not a fruitful conversation to what my purpose here is today. And I was trying every which way to end the conversation because it was not a conversation conducive to my purpose. It may have been to hers, but this is where you have to find your balance and not try and be rude about it. But you have to find your balance of who you're spending your time with in certain locations because you only have a finite time in that maybe in that location. So, and there's no perfect way to resolve this. Um, it's just um, doing the best you can is my 2 cents. Doing the best you can because it's hard. It's a struggle. But as long as you know you can do better, you'll inwardly do better. Um, uh, make sure all your make sure all your social media and online presence matches. Um, there's people that do certain things on different platforms and they don't match. So one thing that I've done across the board is I match every even link in bio to the bio itself on every platform. One, because it shows consistency across the platform and people know it's me across platforms. And it drives consistency. So be consistent across all your platforms. Tell people who you are. Have open conversations. Have good conversations. Be strategic with your conversations, and you will start building good relationships. I think I have a final point here. Mm, main thing is know what you have, find ways to improve it, and um, find something that is going to stick for long term. I was having a conversation. One thing I'm doing right now is I'm actually trying to grow my hair out. I'm growing my hair out, and it may not be the most professional thing because most of the time my hair is short, and I've done that for a long time. But I think I'm at the point in my life where I've never grown my hair out ever, so I'm like, let me. I'm in my 30s. I can grow my hair out and see what I think about it. Just kind of experience me with long hair. I've never done it before, so I think it's okay to experiment with what works and what doesn't work for you professionally. Some people change their whole style and look about them multiple times throughout their life, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay to discover what makes you comfortable and what gives you confidence when you can walk into a room. I think um, I think some people kind of wear that I need a Rolex watch to feel confidence walking in a room or whatever. It might be the way you dress, a certain hairstyle. It might be the clothes you wear, the nice watch. It might be the nice car that gives you the confidence. Um, and that's okay. I think it's okay to test the waters and find out what works for you, because I think the battle everybody faces daily is a mental battle. I think everybody can. I think everybody tries to do the best they can, but sometimes they may lose it, and they may lose that mental battle on a Tuesday or Saturdays or on certain holidays or um, Christmases or whatever, anniversaries. Like it's a mental battle more than everything else. So if you can get your mental strength up, whether it's through the certain look about you, the maybe the nice watch, if it gives you a mental um, clarity, I think it's good. It's good for your appearance and how you represent yourself is very important. Any questions about any of this? I know I kind of rambled for a while. Any questions?
No
Any questions?
questions, really. Thank you. It actually some of the things you said. I've been talking to my grandson. He's in his early 20s, and I talked about, you know, planning for 2025, what kind of path that he wanted to take. So this is pretty apropos, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's when I was like I said when I was younger. I'm not that old, but when I was younger, I think it's okay to. I think my parents gave me grace to figure it out and find my path, and I'm really glad they allowed me to do that. I think it's only I think it only should be allowed for a certain amount of time, in my opinion, because I think some younger, immature young adults take advantage of that um, in a lot of ways. So I think it's okay to have some type of flexibility, but I think there has to be a like a cutoff point where, hey, you need to jump out the nest and figure it out on your own. And a lot of times, young adults need that push to become the person they're supposed to be, and they only get forced under pressure to become that person. So there's a not necessarily a quote, but essentially iron the iron the metal is it can be used for different things and it has certain values. So if you buy like an iron block, it might be worth $1, $2. But if you turn that block into needles, it's worth $50 just because it was forced under pressure to become something sharp. And that same block of iron can be used to become an axe head or some other form of useful or a spike or any type of other uses, but it only has certain value based off the way it was forced under pressure and molded. So um, I think there's um, open interpretations for what pressures you allow and what pressures you put on young adults to form them into the person they're supposed to be. And some people are molded by that pressure. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? Some people are molded by that pressure, um, not by choice. Some people just have hard lives, and it molds that hard life or hard um, childhood or hard young adulthood is what forces them to either do good or bad. And I think it's based off of the mindset of that person of how they harness that. Because people can use that as a crutch or people can use that as fuel. And it's really based off of that individual mindset of that person of how they use that. That was a good little rant. Yeah, that was good. The Iron Quit was good. Yeah. There's a lot of things, and I have a lot of varying opinions with young people because I do try and pour into young people in different ways just because I was lost at some point myself, and um, I think I think I left home at 22. I got married at 25, had my first kid at 26. Um, I don't know. I I had that grace from 18 to 22 before I left, and even when I left, it was my decision when I left home, because I knew I needed to grow up, and that was an internal decision I made at that time. And like I said, I'm glad I had that grace from 18 to 22, but it was stretching thin at 22 with my parents. So, uh, I was ready to move on and figure it out. And I didn't necessarily start in real estate, but that's okay. I learned a lot of useful things along the way that led me here, and I've used those things to become the person I am today, and that's okay. I'm excited to see what the future holds because I know my direction and I know my path, and I execute daily, and that's the importance is executing daily to that mission and goal. And I don't know what the future looks like 100%, but I know which direction I'm going. I know how I'm going to get there, and I know um, where wherewithal I may be in the future, but I don't know exactly where. Did you start the software company before or after starting real estate? I actually started real estate first. Real estate I've been doing for 7 years. Software I've been doing for 4. So it was kind of an interim of real estate. It was like a sideways pivot to the software company. Um, and yeah, it's been interesting. I fell into it. Who was I talking to today? I had a lot of conversations today, but one of my conversations today was, oh, I know who I was talking to. Okay, so um, I initially started wholesaling. I did my first deal after 7 months of trying to do my first deal. Um, I made 6 grand, and then real estate's hard. Real estate's hard. So I actually got into the data business and skip tracing business right during that point. So I was doing real estate and data and skip tracing. And I just wanted to do other services around uh, real estate because I knew this is where I wanted to be. So I found other ways to make money around real estate, not necessarily doing 100% real estate full time. So I was doing data and skip tracing with real estate. And then I started a software company. So now I switched from software or from data to software. So I was doing real estate and software. And then now I'm doing real estate software and education. So it's kind of molded along the way in podcasting and all of the things I do on the daily. But um, still, still married, have kids, and manage all my other endeavors in life. um, the list, guys. Bill Nye knows the history. There you go. It's like the California gold rush. Most people get rich, uh, were the ones selling tools to miners. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's still true to this day. I just think the tools to miners has switched to digital tools. Um, there's a lot of money made in during the through it. I think there's gonna be a lot of gonna money be made through AI moving forward. There's still gonna be a lot of money made through web forever, forever, and softwares. It's just a based off of where we're heading, everything's going to get easier and simpler. It's still not going to be easy. It's still going to be hard, but you'll have more tools at your fingertips. I remember when I first started 7 years ago, um, texting was not a thing. I think texting got into people were texting, but it wasn't really mainstream because there wasn't really good tools and software to text. That was the problem. So tools came out probably around 2019, 2020. And then after the tools came out that made it easier to text, it was really good texting for like 2 years or so, 3 years. And then regulation came on the texting. So it's just cool seeing the ebbs and flows of real estate and how certain things become mainstream for a time. But still, some stuff always still works. Like I think direct mail is probably the oldest marketing piece for the last 50 years, and it still works today. So I think it's okay to jump on some of these short-term marketing strategies because they do work. I think all marketing works if you work it. But I think the main thing is uh, choosing one and digging in. and just making it work it the way it's supposed to be worked. Dig in, and that's one thing I'll say to this too. Everybody, if you're struggling getting a deal, you need to be marketing. You need to be marketing. You cannot. It's very hard getting a deal off MLS. It's very hard negotiating a deal off MLS. Yes, we've done it. Yes, there's still people are still going to do it. But if you want to get a good deal, you need to be direct to seller on some of these opportunities. That's the only way to kind of get out of the rat race of stagnation, is you need to do your own marketing. All right. Any final questions? I'm thirsty.
We throw in some land questions here.
Sure.
All right, so I guess I had one lady. Originally, she wanted 10-year note, but then, well, the seller, because like I said, has the agent involved and stuff. But it's just not the best shape. It's just like those typical rectangles. They said they only do about 2 years, but as you know, the frontage, let's say it's, I think it was like 180 acres, and then the frontage is only about 1,500. Those are the ones that's like, the skinny one, and then the road frontage is at the bottom. But those ones you generally would have to add a road if, and of course, more time for a subdivide, right? Just because. And of course, it costs money, so it's usually those are kind of more of the pass versus if it was turned sideways with more access.
So the main thing with seller financing is if you can get it at equal. I mean, I've shown we covered the math on some of these, but
Yeah.
uh, if you can get a seller finance at whatever you can sell it for, it makes sense because you're gonna get a debt exchange. You're gonna get cash and some type of debt long term. You can overpay sometimes as long as you know what that cash value is on the exit. And this is one of the problems with like funky properties in general. If you don't know what that cash value on the exit is, it's hard to know what to offer. It's hard to
Right,
know.
right.
So
Yeah,
you really have to have your basis of what the exit is on that property and what price it's going to exit at. So
that's
for
true. Yeah, because like I said, I think his price breaker, I have it as like at 6,000, but then the double is there. Some are a little bit less. Some are like 110 acres. Let's go for 130 grand, 140. It's kind of either or, but it's just the access and of course the way we cut it up. I think is the hard part. And then the max they want to do is 2 years. I was like, it's not that long unless it was a perfect shape.
yeah, to your debt, it just doesn't this isn't appealing. Um, I think 5 year plus should be the goal.
Yeah.
Uh, if you can get 10 to 15 years, that's amazing.
Okay.
Um, Something I saw recently was offered. It was such a brilliant. Let me this is a quick little tip for everybody here. I saw this um the way he formed it was, hey, 200,000 cash. I'll give you 500 a month for 15 years, and I'll give you 160 grand after 15 years.
Is it kind of like a balloon at 15 years?
Yeah, yeah. It's a balloon.
Okay.
You give me 200K property or 200K cash, and I'll give you 500 a month for 15 years with 160K at the end of the balloon. That sounds funky, right? It sounds like he's getting a deal, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I guess he's still, what, about a little bit more than half down. But like I said, the monthly payment's cheap, but depends on his exit, I guess, right?
Well, I mean, it was through a property. So he got a $200,000 property for 500 a month for 15 years and a balloon of 160 grand. I'll show you what the math is. Put it here in the chat so you guys can see. It sounds really nice, but when you do the numbers, which was what matter, that's what the loan is. Here, I'll put it on the screen too, if you guys can see. So it's how you frame that seller finance. So essentially, 180 months, which is 15 years, 500 a month. He's putting up $200,000 of present value with a balloon of 160 grand. You hit interest per year, it's 1.8%. That's what he negotiated. without negotiating interest.
Mm, right.
I thought it was slick. It's super slick because like people are like, oh, I give you 200, you pay me 500 a month, and I still get 160. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So it's really cool how math works because math is just math, um, and it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. I was talking to my wife about one of the offers we made recently, and she's like, why would they do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know. Can't explain it. I don't know why they would do that, but that's my offer." And then it always comes back to the point where these sellers are trying to buy your cash with their land. And that's what it comes down to it. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of land tracts out there, but they're the ones that want to sell theirs today. So here's what it is. Here's what I can give you. This is the best I can do. And that's where the math comes out. And it is what it is. Any final questions?
All right, if no one's gonna go, I got another one. But then I guess I have a different property. I'm speaking with the agent, which is a seller too, with a couple partners. They have a mortgage on the property. I know I tried to explain it. I feel like he doesn't really know, but he talked with his buddy that kind of manages the loan. He says not assumable. I'm pretty sure it might be get due. I was trying to say I was trying to take a sub too if that was the case, but he's open to seller finance. But then of course, just I'm just trying to structure, I guess, the down payment. And technically, highway frontage does not count as frontage, right? Because it's originally I thought it was three faces, but it's actually only two face. One side's gravel, and the other side's all highway frontage. But it's about I think an hour 20 from Fort Worth or so. Priced at I think is like 6,000 acre, and then the double price model does work for that area. But
So there's a couple ways to do this. Is the loan's not assumable? Yeah, that's fine. I understand. Um, we talked about this in the past, but you can do a lease with the option to buy.
yeah,
Uh, it's the same as seller financing, but it's through the form of a lease.
okay.
So that's a way to take over payments without changing ownership, and you still have control. And then something else you could do too as well is have them do a deed, but you never file it, but you always have a recorded notarized deed at any point. That way, when you're ready to pay off that loan, you just file the deed and pay off the loan.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, good
And then
question.
I guess usually highway frontage does not count as entrance frontage. I know it's considered kind of paved, but it depends how much traffic, right? I don't know how that kind of
Yes,
dictates it.
it's by if this is Texas, it's by the speed limit. So the way Texas does entrances is through speed limit. So if it's I have to pull it up. I can't remember offhand, but
Yeah.
generally if it's like 65 miles per hour, you need 525 feet. Usually if it's a county road, they have like a speed limit like uh 45 miles per hour or something like that. That it kind of varies from there, but generally you need 200 to 500 feet of frontage from each driveway. And one thing to account for is if it does have minimal frontage, where's the next driveway? Because that driveway, even if it's not on your property, counts as driveway spacing. So if it's right on the edge of your property, you have to go 500 feet potentially into your property to put the next driveway, which
Hmm.
could affect your subdivide.
Right.
So you have to be mindful of the the driveway spacing and where the driveway is pertaining where the nearest driveway is pertaining to your lot.
Okay. Appreciate it, Daniel.
Yeah. All right. Um, I think we're gonna end it here. I appreciate y'all coming out. I hope y'all have a happy new year. Um, for the people that you're supposed to be here, just join the link again. We'll see y'all next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. All right.
Out.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Bye.